No, not my boy Jaime. He got caught on that gosh dang Ryan Garcia Conor Ben pack. It was that gosh dang tacos and a roast con carne, wasn't it? Man, please, bruh, stay off the beef. Leave the cows alone. No más vacas, cabrón.
What did he say?
But the good news is he's on Canelo's team now. And if my boy Cinnamon doesn't know how to do anything else, he knows how to be the case.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Thanks for tuning into your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk. And we're back for another YouTube video banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. I don't know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. I have some very unfortunate news to deliver to y'all today in regards to one of my favorite fighters right now, because he's very exciting, right? And that is Jaime Munguia. Last time out, we saw him avenge his loss to Bruno Surace, aka Brunello, aka the Frenchman that beat him and stopped him in decisive fashion, you know, explosive fashion. That was crazy. It was arguably upset candidate of the year last year, right? However, Jaime Munguia had the rematch, and I was one of the ones that said, despite Bruno Surace being the better boxer, and you know that rematches usually favor the better boxer, I was like, no, I'm going with my boy Jaime Munguia to avenge this loss, and he did that, man. But now, fast forward to today, we have some terrible news, man. The man tested positive for some banned substance. So as you can see, announced by the Ring magazine, while it is an adverse analytical finding, which gives him a little chance to get out unscathed as long as he requests analysis of his B sample, but the AAF with that, it means that there's something that has been found, at least in his A sample. So that is a little dangerous. Now, I want to tell you this, though. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because that's what we always do around here until proven guilty, right? You're innocent until proven guilty, right? I'm American, and that's part of the American ways, right? Even though we act differently, right? And when someone's get caught, when they're actually guilty, we try to act like they're not. But then we try to accuse other people who've never been found guilty of being guilty, right? You know, despite their innocence. For example, I'm gonna give you a case with another fighter, Artur Beterbiev, right? The Russian fighter, when he fought Callum Smith, he was found with this. Yeah, that's an atypical finding, and the atypical finding, aka ATF, is different from an adverse analytical finding, an AAF. And this is what I explained before during the Ryan Garcia situation, when a lot of people thought I was lying when I said that B sample was probably going to come back the same way, and they thought I was tripping, right? And I ended up being correct, right? Yeah, because I do my research. That's why I'm a research scientist. You know, I'm talking about I work for mines.
You dumbass.
But anyway, you know, according to this, right, this is a little worse than the ATF, the atypical finding, because when it's an atypical finding, it's pretty much inconclusive. It just means that they got to run more tests. And the example that I'm giving you here was with Artur Beterbiev against Callum Smith. And guess what happened? The fight still transpired, right? Because even though it was an atypical finding, it wasn't conclusive enough to convict, if you will, or even formally accuse Artur Beterbiev of being on something. Sometimes things happen, and sometimes your levels of testosterone or different chemical reactions in your body are raised throughout the day or throughout the times, right? Depends on what you're doing, what you're eating, but it doesn't mean necessarily that you are putting a foreign banned substance into your body from external sources, you know what I'm saying, or intentionally from external sources. Now let's go to the adverse analytical finding, which Jaime Munguia has found in his sample. This is a little more serious, because check out this table right here. This is saying that, yeah, we know something is there, and let's break it down. I'll read it to you. So as you can see here, the key differences for an adverse analytical finding is that the result is a definite positive for prohibited substances, you know, or methods used, and the atypical finding, you know, contrarily, it's inconclusive. It requires further investigation. So while Artur Beterbiev had an atypical finding that required further investigation, the further investigation found that he was innocent and that everything was okay, and that's why the fight still transpired, you know. And now we're here with Jaime Munguia, so depending on this B sample, it's going to be a strong chance that he might get in trouble. Let's go down to the next column, right? Or sorry, to the next row where it says interpretation. Their interpretation of an adverse analytical finding is that there's a strong indication of anti-doping rule violation, you know. But with the ATF, which is an atypical finding, it says that there's potentially suspicious but basically inconclusive or not conclusive evidence to call somebody a cheater, right? So let's go down to the next row, which is called action, right? This initiates the results management process, meaning basically they're just gonna manage the results and check out the process and dig a little deeper, because it means that there is some type of protocol that needs to go underway because this is official, right? With an ATF, a typical finding like arterioperturbative, this just requires further investigation and follow-up testing. So if you look with Jaime Munguia, the follow-up testing is the B sample, but this is part of the official protocol now, as he has to request it. The ATF, they just do it themselves, you know what I'm saying, in the lab. It's nothing that needs to be approved or requires a consent of the fighter. So the outcome of the adverse analytical finding is that you can lead to serious sanctions like suspensions and stuff. And the outcome of the atypical finding, it may or may not lead to sanctions, and that depends on the results of the investigation. So basically, I just broke it down to you succinctly and elaborated the differences between an AAF and an ATF. You know, AAF being adverse analytical finding, ATF being atypical finding. So Beterbiev, that fight with Callum Smith went on smoothly, right? And it transpired and we saw the result. He got his ass kicked, basically, you know. But Jaime Munguia, you know, this is going to take further investigation. Don't be surprised if it results in a suspension, unless, like I said, he hollers at his boy Cinnamon, you know, and Cinnamon has successfully proved his innocence, right? He never proved that it wasn't in his body, but my boy Canelo, which is why I do not put him in the same boat as the goofball Ryan Garcia or the goofball Conor Ben or the goofball Jarrell B. Baby Miller or the goofball Dennis McCann, those real cheaters.
We do not let people who are on the juice discuss real athletes. That's all.
Canelo and Alicia Bumgarner, when they tested positive during their training camps and stuff, they went and proved and gave a legitimate reason, one reason, not a plethora of stories, just one legitimate reason. They took it to court and they proved their innocence, and their innocence came in the form of showing that they ingested it or consumed the banned substance unintentionally via food for Canelo and via some freaky deaky stuff for Alicia Bumgarner. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. That's what they say anyway. So I do think that there's a distinct difference between purposefully cheating and accidentally cheating, because cross-contamination and contaminated things do exist. But when you're Ryan Garcia and you make up these stories and you have 60 times the allowable limit, you know what I'm saying, you have a large amount, despite what people try to say it's minuscule, billions of a gram. No, billions of a gram is nanogram, and that's just the metrics in which these things are talked about and quantified, you dummy. That doesn't mean it's small.
You dumbass.
For example, Amir Khan tested positive for the same Austrian as Ryan Garcia. Amir Khan tested positive with 0.3 nanograms per milliliter. That resulted in a 2-year suspension. Ryan Garcia had 6 nanograms per milliliter. Yeah, if you're good at math, like I am, being an engineer with my doctorate and such, that means that he tested 20 times the amount that Amir Khan had in his system. And people are complaining and saying that it's a minuscule amount. No, you just don't know how to conceptualize such small metrics and small units of measurement, because you're not a phlebotomist, you're not a toxicologist, and you don't want to do your due diligence. But don't worry, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So no, he had a large amount in the system, and he only got suspended for a year because he settled, right? So you should be thankful as opposed to complaining. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's keep it going. The point is that Jaime Munguia is, you know, he is susceptible to being reprimanded. We'll see how the B sample turns out. And even though it's rare that the B sample is different from the A sample, it's still a positive. It's still a possibility. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope that it was something like him just being on, you know, having that beef in his diet, just like Canelo. You know, we'll see how it goes. But if that is the case, brother, Jaime, I'm going to kick your hiney if this happens again, man, because you know I rock with you, Jaime, but I can't rock with this, man. So hopefully you prove your innocence, and please become a vegan, bitch. Just eat vegetables, bro. Eat your vegetales, man. Leave the meat alone, man. At least while you're in training camp and you're preparing for your fight, bro. Go ahead, go on an all vegan diet, plant-based diet. You know what I'm saying? It'll do wonders for your health too, man. Have some health benefits, man. Stay off the cows, the vacas, the tacos, the arroz con carne, and whatever it is, man. If you kind of been, stay off the huevos, you know, the arroz con pollo. Leave the chicken, all that alone, bro. Just be clean, man. So hopefully we'll see how, you know, in a couple of days, you know, he has 10 days to request the testing of his B sample, and we'll see how it goes, man. We don't like to condemn anybody until it is unequivocally proven, you know, through due process that he did cheat. But it's looking bad right now because the adverse analytical finding is worse than ATF, you know, which is a atypical finding, you know what I'm saying? So the AAF is worse than the ATF, you know, adverse analytical finding and atypical finding respectively, man. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. Y'all disappointed in Jaime. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed in my boy, but I'm gonna hold out the faith, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Don't forget to smack that like button, but most importantly, remember, with God we can do anything, without God we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.